did we come from that way? Uh-oh, now we're gonna get lost. Here's how it starts. This is how the robot uprising starts. They're gonna take over. All right, leaving this estate sale, and just picked up a few things. Normally, I don't really go chasing around on these estate sales, but it was nearby. So I did find a piece of cast iron. There was 3 pieces of these little tiny corn pans. And again, I'm not really much of a collector of these corn pans, but this one was much better made than the other 2, little teeny tiny ones. But this one's noticeably older than the others, which were more crudely made. So for $8, I decided I would try it. So I got this corn pan, and I just got some wire strippers, and this, I believe, is like a precision pair of cutters, normally like used by telephone linemen. Pretty nice piece of equipment for $2. So I thought that was pretty nice. Used to be cleaned up a little bit, but nice tool. And so there's this little teeny tiny corn pan. Of course, it still has corn in it, but definitely more delicate than other pans I've seen. So $8. It's neat, little novelty. I don't have one of the tiny ones, I don't think. All right, so we are driving through North Louisiana to a meet. Somebody had something on Facebook Marketplace, and I've been going back and forth with them. They were so far out that I was like, can we meet midway or something? And we just went back and forth. It was one of those very tedious kind of exchanges trying to coordinate, and I just finally said, okay, I'll come up here, and it'll be a nice scenic drive, right? So we're just casually doing a little Sunday drive. It was about an hour and 20 minutes each way, but come up here and visit. And did we come from that way? Uh-oh, now we're gonna get lost. All right, let's see what I picked up here. So I paid $100 for 1, 2, 3, 4 skillets and 2 Dutch ovens with 1 lid. You can see there's a lot of weird crud on this stuff. So this is a number 8 Lodge Dutch oven. This is a Lodge lid here. This fits on that. And I think that's really in pretty good shape. This is, I guess, another Dutch oven, and it says 8A. This could possibly be a BSR, right? It looks really pretty. And now we've got a number 6 Wagner. Look at that Wagner ware. That's pretty cool. That's an odd size. Here's a number 5 Wagner ware with the Made in USA, so it's going to be post 60s. This is a Century Series BSR. I think a number 8. Number 8. And then this is the interesting one. It's gate marked. I think it says just 10 inches. I'm gonna see what that is. Okay, here's our mystery gate marked pan out of the E-tank. And it's very interesting. As you can see, there's clearly a gate mark. It says 10 inches. But there's also these 3 things here. So this may have been a spider with little feet coming out. But maybe they ground it all off at the same time. It doesn't look like necessarily it was done later, but this thing is so old, it's entirely possible that it was. What I see here is sulfur pitting, which is another sign of a very old age. And it's got pitting all around it. Here's the thing, the pitting is all very, very even. Almost like it's part of the casting. If this was rust, I wouldn't expect it to be so even all the way around the pan. So I don't know, I think this is just a very early. Now the inside is very smooth. There's some pitting over here on this side, and then it's much smoother over here. So maybe this thing was exposed to the elements. This here is not a crack. That's just sand shift in the mold. I'm not sure what it is. Could it be a very, very early lodge? It does seem to have kind of a lodge-like handle with that teardrop. Be interesting to see. So anyway, I did test this for lead, because anything this old, you know, there's a good possibility it was used for a variety of different things. So I'm going to oil it up and get a protective coating on it, and then do a little bit more research and see what I can come up with on this. And stay tuned. So for several weeks, I've been trying to figure out how I could sell some of my cast iron. I was going to do it in one of these holiday markets, and I made little tags for everything and was going to put them in and do like a little holiday market thing. And then basically every time I went out there, it was like not happening. Like, I don't know if it was because of the weather and they closed it, shut it down or whatever, but it's really frustrating. I've been trying so hard to try to at least see if I could put some stuff together to sell, but it just seems like it's been really difficult. So I don't know what I'm doing. I'm loading stuff up, got my tables, got a cool banner that I made up, and I loaded the whole vehicle up with stuff that I found that I was gonna make available to everybody, you know, for Christmas gifts and stuff, but it didn't happen. It's frustrating. So now I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I don't want to stack up too much of this stuff, so I'll have to figure something out. Okay, here's a follow-up on some of the pans that I picked up at that Meat Facebook Marketplace sale. I got a whole bunch of pans for $100. There was like 4 frying pans and some other stuff, and most of them were relatively standard, some 3-notch lodges and some other stuff. But there were a couple of interesting pieces I want to point out. First off, there was this Dutch oven that just had 8A on it, and I believe this is a BSR Dutch oven. It didn't come with a lid. The other one was a Lodge, and the Lodge Dutch ovens are pretty standard. That was a pretty nice little number 8 with and there was this other one here. But this is one of the reasons I go out collecting other stuff. I found a lid, another BSR lid that fits on it. So now I've got the complete set here. And sometimes when you're hustling around trying to find stuff. Now this lid is a BSR red BSR Century with the dimples. And this is the later version. This could be an earlier version, Red Mountain, because it doesn't have the later ones, have the number and the size marker on it. These don't. But this is a nice little set, and this works really nicely. If I can find a Red Mountain lid before I do anything with this, I might swap it out. But that's a nice little Dutch oven there. What I wanted to talk about is this interesting pan. This basically is just your, it's a BSR. It's all nicely seasoned and everything. BSR sold their pans in a number of configurations. You could get them rough or you could get them smooth. So you will find some of them that have the nice swirl marks and some of them that are a little bit more on the rougher side. And this is one of these ones that's a little bit on the rougher side. I actually find it's harder to find these BSRs that aren't finished. It'd be interesting to know what the stats are. I don't know if anybody even has that, but I think most of them were finished. But what's neat about this are the markings. So it says number 8-B and in parentheses 7, 10 and a quarter inch. So we know this is made from their later Century series, right? But it says number 8. Now, let me show you another BSR number 8. Here is a BSR number 8 from the Century series too. But this doesn't say number 8-B7. This just says number 8. And this says 10 and 1/4 inches, and this says 10 and like 5/8 or something inches. So this is smaller than this. And watch, we can put the one over the top of it, and you can see it's actually smaller. This is a special version that BSR did that was a little bit smaller than a standard number 8. They still called it a number 8. I believe the reason they did this was so that they could fit more of them on a particular mold. They found that maybe by making them just slightly smaller, the same thing with that special series maybe, where they would occasionally make some that had a similar number, but they were just the next size smaller. Presumably so that they could put more of them per mold, maybe increase production output. I don't know. But you can see it's clearly just a little bit smaller than a standard number 8. Now I do have another number 7 to compare it with. So, and this is the advantage of getting more and more of these pans, is that I now have things I can compare it with. So here's a Century, and here is a number 7. They're both, this is number 8-B7, this is a number 7. I believe this is a Red Mountain because it doesn't have the thing, it just says 7B. Again, there are some people that believe that they could have the Red Mountain markings and still be a Century series. It depends on whether these spouts are bigger or smaller. But to me, it looks like this spout is a little bit bigger, so this might be the legitimate Red Mountain series. Also, the lips here tended to be a little bit smaller on the Red Mountains, whereas they're a little bit beefier, you can see, on the Century series. But what's interesting about this is a number 7, and this is a number 7, and they are almost identical. They're just basically about the same size, and that's why it says number 8-B and in parentheses 7. So they're calling it a number 8 pan, but it's basically number 7 sized. So this is another weird variation that Birmingham Stove and Range produced for a certain period of time, and this was done later. This was after the Red Mountain series. They had the Red Mountain series, and then they had the Century series. And there's a lot of discussion about when Red Mountain ended and when Century began. Red Mountain is probably from the 30s into the 60s, and then from the 60s to about the 80s is when, and then they kind of shut down. So this pan's probably from the 30s. This pan's probably from the 60s, or this pan. Well, I don't know about this special series. This might have been from the 70s or the 80s. But there's still information being gathered. This is still a relatively young hobby, and people are trying to interview the people that worked in the factories and gather more information. There's some very good Facebook groups for that. There's a number of BSR Facebook groups where there's people that take this stuff really seriously, and I'm learning a lot from them, and I'm hoping to collect stuff and share what I have. So there you have it, an interesting odd size number 8-B7. So if you see one of these, note that it's a size 7 that's marked as a number 8, and I don't think it's super duper rare. I've seen a number of these out there now, but it's definitely maybe a little bit less common than a standard number 8, or maybe a number 7 too. So there you have it. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and I will continue to be out there searching and sharing with you, and I hope you will subscribe and tell your friends to watch. Until next time.